It's Tuesday, December 6th. I'm kind of supposed to be at work right now, but I kind of figured today was a good excuse to talk about sort of my celiac and sort of how I figured it out, and the implications, and just because I feel like it's such a kind of new thing that, well, it's not actually a new thing, but it's newly recognized by doctors, dietitians, and everything. So it's just, I feel like it's, I think, underdiagnosed in people. I think more people have it than, or at least other types of gluten problems than we think. I think it's a lot more prevalent. So I mean, today I thought was a good excuse to do it because I had to leave work early because I was in pain. I have been, because I think my food got contaminated, I'm guessing Sunday night at dinner, and it's now Tuesday afternoon. And I've just been like super bloated, in a lot of pain. And it wasn't even enough that I could see. It wasn't like, you know, like I had a piece of bread. It wasn't like I had crumbs in my food. So I'm not entirely sure what happened, if like, you know, Nick's food got into mine somehow and I didn't see, or if, I know I have to keep my kitchen counters really clean, but since we got like Chinese takeout, sort of I couldn't eat his food, and I don't know if some of it got on the counter and then I dropped mine and picked it up or something. So I just thought it was a good excuse because I won't be going to the gym again because it hurts too much. So basically I started having sort of symptoms, just gastrointestinal problems, about 4 years ago. And it kind of started where I couldn't go to the bathroom. And I was always one of those regular people, like every single day, every morning. And it went into like, I couldn't go for like a week or something. And it was really uncomfortable and sort of made me nervous. It was like, there's clearly something wrong with me. So I kept trying to make an appointment to see my doctor. And I kept getting told by our nurse on the phone there to just take stool softeners every day and I'll be fine. And after months, I kept calling like, it's not working, it's just getting worse. And then I ended up, I was on vacation in Colorado and I went to the emergency room because I hadn't gone to the bathroom for about a month. And it was just so incredibly painful. I mean, I looked huge. I looked like severely pregnant and like just 24/7, not just, you know, bloated for an hour and then it dies down because I ate a lot. It was just constant. I couldn't stand up straight. And it ended up like, you know, I wasn't comfortable in any position. I couldn't lie down and feel better. I couldn't do anything. And I went in and they, of course, they just put me on an IV, didn't do any tests, scans, whatever, and just sent me home. And then I flew back the next day. So after that, they of course gave me painkillers. One of the side effects was constipation, so I immediately had to stop taking that. So then I went to see my doctor. They finally let me in, and I got an x-ray done of my abdomen, and they were like, you're completely full, like you have to get it out. So, so I had to do that, and so I kept seeing doctors and specialists, like gastroenterologists who are supposed to fucking know about this stuff. And they just listened to my symptoms and were like, oh, you have IBS, which by definition means we don't know what's wrong with you, but we have to give it a name. Paraphrasing, but that's the definition of it. And so I even got a colonoscopy at some point. I had to beg for one, like just do some kind of test. They finally did it and it came back clean. So they're like, yeah, this just confirms you have IBS, which doesn't make sense. So, for about 4 years, I had that diagnosis, and it just kept getting worse. And I kept trying to do my own research, and kept playing around with my diet. You know, I heard about FODMAPs, and so I took out a whole bunch of those carbs, which is really hard to take out every single one of those categories. Like, you're not left with a lot to eat. So I couldn't do it, I think, for long enough because basically wheat, which is one of the main things that contains gluten, is one of those FODMAP foods. And but it takes weeks to get it completely out of your system. So I feel like I didn't do it for long enough to notice that, oh, maybe that's one of the problem things. So I finally, one of my friends has ulcerative colitis, and she recommended that that the certain hospital in New Hampshire has a really, really good gastroenterologist department. So although she's a different problem, I was like, well, if she likes all these doctors and they do a lot of tests and they work together as a team, it's like, all right, well, I might as well try it. So I went there, and the doctor listened to all my, I mean, it took me like 9 months to get an appointment, which sucked. But, so I go in, and he listens to all my symptoms, all my backstory, like, as much as I could possibly think of that may or may not be related. And that day, he has me take a blood test because I'd eaten wheat. Basically, I had a slice of bread like a week beforehand, but you have to have at least some kind of gluten within like 2 weeks for the blood test to be accurate. So he did that, and I forget exactly what it's called that they test for. It's some antigen thing or something. I'll try to look it up and put it in the description. But basically, there's a range, like a healthy range of what should be in your blood. It's, I want to say between like 0.01 and 0.1. And my levels after like a full week was 0.19, so almost double the healthy range. And so he was like, yeah, that confirms you have basically a problem, but there are 3 different types of gluten problems. And so I had to go in and get an endoscopy where they just go in my throat and get a biopsy of my small intestines, which is how they confirm celiac, because it's not only all the gastrointestinal symptoms in relation to gluten, but it's also you get it messes up your intestines basically because your body is attacking your intestines, kind of thinking it's attacking the gluten. It's weird. So basically that's how I got diagnosed with it. And I was like, oh, finally, like an actual solution to the fucking problem. So I went over with the doctor sort of what things do and don't have gluten, which a lot of the obvious ones I knew. I mean, I studied nutrition for years and done my own research and done a lot of classes in college with it. But then it comes up a lot, and you know, it's like I had to have gluten-free soy sauce, and then I don't get almost any sauces when I go out to eat. Some dressings are usually okay. I think like Caesar is usually okay, but I try to limit them. I don't do any other sauces. I get things kind of as plain as I can because a lot of sauces have gluten and it's a thick in it. It's great. It's not just fucking bread, pizza, and pastries and whatever. And that was this last March that I found out, and it's now December. I feel like I'm still healing. There were a lot of foods that I couldn't eat outside of the gluten just because my body, like my intestines were severely damaged. Like he said, pretty much all the microvilli in my small intestine had receded. So not only could I not absorb stuff well, I couldn't digest it properly, which basically led to a lot of the food, when it's improperly digested, it goes down into the colon and just kind of ferments, because it's kind of not all supposed to go down there. On top of finding out that my pelvic floor muscles aren't working properly. So basically, you're supposed to be able to sort of contract and relax them to sort of stop going to the bathroom or to go to the bathroom. When I thought I was relaxing them, they actually tightened. So I had physical therapy for a while to try to work on sort of exercises and stretches to help with that. At the same time, stress causes it to tighten up for long periods of time. So I think it was the combination that just sucked so much. And so now I just have to be super careful, but I think it is kind of hard when other people in the house have gluten, so like we try really hard to keep the kitchen clean. I have like a new strainer that is only allowed to be used for like vegetables and rice and anything not with gluten, because the old one was already contaminated because we both ate it, and stuff like that. So we have to make sure everything's really clean. Everything is cooked separately, all the labels are checked. Slip-ups happen like the other day, which sucks, but it's, I don't know, you just try as hard as you can, I guess. But kind of on that note, through my own research, and I am in no way a doctor, dietitian, anything, biggest lesson of this video, please talk to your doctor. Don't just take my word for any of this, because I'm not qualified to diagnose anyone, treat anyone, whatever. This is just my experience, my research, whatever. Please ask a qualified person anything. But from my research, there are 3 different basically negative reactions to gluten. The mildest one is just a sensitivity, where you get all the gastrointestinal symptoms, either diarrhea or constipation, or a combination, like bloating, gas, indigestion, and all that, but you don't get the physical damage from it. So basically it's, from my understanding, uncomfortable, it sucks, but you're not doing any permanent damage by eating it. So in that case, I don't know, maybe it's just based on tolerance level, how much you can have, or if you should avoid it altogether. So let's talk to your doctor about if you think you do. And then there's the allergy, which is like any other allergy, where your body's immune system kind of just like overreacts to gluten as an invader, so to speak. So you can get the anaphylaxis, you can get a rash, you can get whatever type of other reaction. It is an allergy, so it's a much more immediate reaction. I would think you could have an EpiPen for it, but again, I'm not 100% sure. Please talk to your doctor. And then so the celiac that I have is an autoimmune reaction, where you get the sensitivity, like the gastrointestinal symptoms, but then you also get the damage in your intestines, because my immune system confuses the cells of my intestines with the gluten, and therefore attacks my intestines to defend itself from the gluten. Completely irrational, but I think that's kind of the problem with autoimmune diseases. Like, they don't really make sense. I feel like, from what I've learned, we still don't understand why the body would get confused like that. I feel like that's why at this point in time, we can't treat or cure autoimmune diseases. They just progress. I mean, I guess the good thing about the celiac one is that we know what causes the problem, and we can actually take it out. Whereas there are things like MS, it's like you're almost kind of just completely screwed. You just get worse and worse, and they don't have a way to fix it. So I guess at least with mine, I can take it out. However, it's, in our society, really difficult. It seems to be in everything, which is just really hard. I can't have crumbs in anything. I can't have it touching. It really should be cooked somewhere different, but we just clean the stuff really well, and I hope that's good enough. So yeah, but that, for celiac, you do need the blood test and the biopsy, as far as I am aware, to get an accurate diagnosis. So one of my big takeaways for this, please find a doctor who will actually perform tests. I think it's, you know your body better than anyone else, and so if you really feel like something's wrong, you know, whatever you're doing isn't helping, don't let yourself be dismissed. I mean, I kind of did that for a long time, where I was like, this isn't working. I just keep asking the same people and I just get the same reaction, you know, just eat more fiber and take stool softeners the rest of your life. I'm like, that's that's not helpful. I mean, it not only didn't help me, but that's not what I want to do forever. It's just take fucking stool softeners every day. That's just stupid. So I went through multiple doctors over the years to try to figure, like, just get tests. Just, you know, I'm like, I swear there's something wrong with me. So that's my big thing. So again, not a doctor, not qualified to diagnose or treat anyone. This is just my experience. I hope it helps someone. Maybe I'll do some, like, these foods are safe to eat or something, or how I don't know, replace foods or something. I'm still not very good at, we go out to dinner a lot, but it's really hard to find stuff still. It tends to be rather limiting, especially in New Hampshire where there aren't a lot of specialty restaurants. Like, I know in other, you know, like in California, they have like vegan restaurants, they have whatever restaurant, and it's like, you could probably have an easier time of it. But in New Hampshire, it is kind of more like either chains or, you know, a local restaurant that's usually not the healthiest. We were going to try Tavern 27 in Laconia the other day, but we didn't end up going because my mom recommended it, 'cause she's always looking stuff up. And they do have a lot of gluten-free options, or at least dishes they can make gluten-free. So I think it is helpful to do research because a typical American diet has way too much in it. Yeah. So I thought today was a good day for this. Hope it helps someone. Feel free to like the video if it's relevant to you. Leave comments, questions. I can talk about it more later. Yeah, bye.